Hi everyone, Mike here from On Your Side Investments, just checking in for a last minute Easter message to everybody. I hope you're heading off for a weekend of fun and frivolity, or relaxing at home, getting a few jobs done, but basically winding down. I know I am. I'm about to head over to Stradbroke Island for a few days and just get some R&R. I've been going pretty hard lately and travelling a bit, so it's time just to recharge the batteries and just make sure all things are rested and happy. Interesting week this week. I thought I'd just update you based on what was coming out of the political world this week. Some really interesting reports, and obviously they're talking about whether they'll tweak or whether they won't tweak negative gearing. Fortunately, I think the smartest thing is they're probably not going to do much with it, if at all. They're saying they won't, but there'll be some pressure brought to bear over the next few weeks prior to the budget time. So there may be a tweaking, but as I've said before, it's really unlikely. It's been done before. It failed dismally. It actually pushed up house prices. So, but interesting this week, there's been some pretty smart things come out from a few pollies. I hadn't heard this for a while. We've been saying it ourselves for the last couple of years, if you've been to our events or have been getting our feed. But primarily the problem in Australia is not really about what the banks and APRA are trying to, and the Reserve Bank, etc., are all talking about different ways to put pressure on the investors. I don't believe that's where the real problem is and what they need to do, because every time they put pressure on the investors and change the scenario, it does slow things down for a few weeks, and then it comes back, and the momentum that is always going to be there will carry on regardless. So I think a lot of the pollies have got that wrong. A lot of the pundits have got it wrong as well. You can usually hear when a pundit goes on TV or radio or in the papers, they've got some negative news that's to sell. And so they're usually in Sydney. Quite commonly, I can hear them speak and I go, oh yeah, they're living in Sydney, I can tell. Because the problem that is in Australia is not really a problem, but it's appearing to be a problem, and it's in Sydney currently right now especially. Melbourne to a fair degree as well. As you know, I've been in Melbourne and Sydney recently myself, and the markets are still running very strong. So we're still seeing Sydney run. We're seeing Melbourne definitely well and truly into its run, and Brisbane now, even though the floods hit us unfortunately a week or two ago, it might slow things down a little bit, but the momentum will have its way. It just won't, like the water had its way, the momentum of property price growth will have its way. So Sydney's only doing what Sydney did in the 70s, 80s, late 90s, etc. It was held back through GFC and a few other factors economically, but the Sydney price boom is actually happening now like it was always going to happen. And it probably should peter off now the next 6-12 months. If it doesn't and it goes up a bit higher, there'll be a slight fallback. So people talk about a bubble. The bubble is only what will happen maybe next year if it keeps going hard, and that's another message. We'll talk about what a bubble looks like actually. But interesting thing this week, the most important thing that came out, which is the most sense, was we have a shortage of housing in Australia. That's the core reason why we're seeing a push on house prices right now. We have a housing shortage. We have high population growth, about 400,000 people per year. So that's the issue that needs to get addressed. What does it mean for investors? It means it's time to keep making sure you make every post a winner. If you haven't got into the Brisbane market lately, there's still time, so please do. There's still time to hop into Melbourne actually. So if you're looking at what to do with your own portfolio, how to address it, how to make the most of it, there's lots of things we can talk about, but I'm already over 3 minutes, which is about a minute too long on these videos. I promised to leave them about 2 minutes, but anyway, it's time to clock off. I'll slow myself down and head off on the jet ski and head off to Stradbroke Island. Sorry to brag, it's just one of those things. I've got a toy this year. I got my new toy for Christmas, so I'm heading off on that one to have a bit of an R&R. I hope you're having a great Easter. Don't eat too many chocolates. Oh, blow it. Have plenty of chocolates and recover next week, and look after yourself. Okay, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you the next week or two. Cheers, bye.